This bag costs $11,823.43, and I'm gonna tell you exactly what is in this bag.
I'm swinging with that, swinging with that. I got my own and I'm swinging it back. Stopping my game when I'm under attack.
Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Mitchell, and it's 2021, and it seems like every creator is doing the obligatory "What's in my camera bag 2021," and we thought, let's do the same thing, because why not? The setup that is in this bag is kind of like our run and gun everyday setup, and it'll change depending on the project that we're doing or what we're filming, but this is kind of like an average of our most used gear. First off is the bag. This is the ProTactic 450 AW2. It's a great bag. I've had this for about a year now, and all three of us actually have some sort of version of this bag. I'm not someone who is very picky about the kind of bag that I use, about the ergonomics or things like that. As long as it holds what I want it to hold, that's pretty much it. Something that I do like about this bag quite a bit is how many openings and flaps there are to get inside the actual bag. So there's one on the top, there's one on this side, one here, and then there's the main one, of course, so you can actually get into the main core of the bag. And this is the bag. It is quite full, I know that. We try to utilize every single pocket we can to keep everything nice and organized. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through every single pocket here and discuss what we have and why we have it. First things first is the camera. Our main camera of choice is the Sony A7S III. We switched to this thing about a month ago, and I have to admit, it does in fact live up to all of its hype. The video is great, the autofocus is great. The only downside is the 12 megapixel sensor. Now, I'm not strictly a photographer, but having a camera that I could take a photo with and have the option to blow it up in post would be nice, but for what we do with social media, 12 megapixels is more than enough. One trade-off though is when you have a small sensor like that, you get better low light, and the low light on this thing is absolutely incredible, so it makes it all worth it. Some of you are probably gonna be asking, are we going to replace our Blackmagic with these cameras? And the answer is, we don't really know yet. We've only had this camera for about a month now, and on paper, it looks like it probably will replace it, but we wanna do some actual testing and see if that is actually the case. All in all, this camera is a creative powerhouse, but do you wanna know what else is a creative powerhouse? Squarespace. Squarespace is an extremely easy way to make a great website. It's an all-in-one platform with nothing to patch, install, or upgrade. Squarespace offers designer templates to make your website look amazing, but also gives you the flexibility to make it your own. This way, you can ensure that your website will look great with whatever photos, videos, or any other creative endeavor that you plan to use it for. No word of a lie, we have been using Squarespace ourselves for our own TMS Productions website for the last 3 years, and it's been fantastic. Squarespace makes it extremely easy for us to make professional looking portfolios that we can share to our clients. Seriously, we can't recommend this enough. If you are ever in need of a website, make sure you go check out squarespace.com for a free trial. And then when you're ready to launch, go check out squarespace.com/TMS to get yourself 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Moving on from the camera, we're gonna talk about some lenses. Now, our kit lens for this camera is the 24-70 2.8 Sigma. It is a great lens. We didn't realize how big it was before we got it. It has an 82mm filter thread, which is absolutely ginormous, and it covers all the focal lengths we would want from 24 all the way to 70. And it is much cheaper than the G Master equivalent, and from what I can tell, they're pretty much the exact same lens. And speaking of lenses, we also have this lens. This is the Canon 70-200 2.8. We have this mainly for our Blackmagic, but we're probably gonna be replacing it very soon with the G Master equivalent. Right now, it is kind of a placeholder in the bag for that lens. And because we've moved to Sony so recently, we do plan on getting more lenses, probably a 50mm, a 35mm, and a 16-35 to kind of really flesh out that lens arsenal. And now we are going to move on to audio. For audio, we like to use the Rode VideoMic Pro Plus, and it's a bit of a cliche at this point, but this is probably the best microphone you can get. It turns on and off with your camera, and it's just effortless. There are a few downsides, however. First one being, it is a little bit big, especially when you get it on the top of your camera with the dead cat on it, it gets even bigger. And also, it's a little bit pricey, but I would say it is definitely worth it. Next up is the drone. We like to carry this drone wherever we go. It pretty much lives in this camera bag. And our drone of choice is the Mavic 2 Pro. We got this drone about a year ago and it's been great. There's nothing to complain about. I know that the Mavic Air 2 and Mavic Mini 2 have both come out since this drone, but because we have this one, we don't really see a point in upgrading, but if I didn't have this drone, I'd probably be going for something like the Mavic Air 2, just because it's a little bit smaller and probably just as good. This drone was actually bought used. We actually buy a lot of our drones used, like this one and the Mavic Air, just because when it comes to drones, not a lot can go wrong on them. They either fly or they don't, and it's a great way to save a little bit of money. Okay, so that's the drone. Also in the bag here on the side, we've got the controller for the drone. That's a classic, as well as we've got some ND filters. These are the PolarPro ND filters. They are really nice. They're a little bit expensive, and the case that they come in is quite nice with these magnets opening and closing it. But one thing I would say is that the case is made of this clear plastic and it gets really scratched up really easily and they look really ugly. Also, we've got 2 extra batteries for our drone, so we have 3 in total, and this is where they live. Next up is our filters. We keep them in this little case. It's a nice little clamshell design, so you can quickly grab whatever filter you want. And these are our ND filters. When it comes to ND filters, we are not picky at all. This is probably a crime in the film world, but we're not too picky with which ones we use. And you might be saying, like, you have a $5,000 camera and you stick $50 ND filters on it, and the answer is yes. Yes, we do, because we can't really justify spending like $500 on ND filters. And obviously the quality loss from using these cheap ND filters isn't enough for any of you guys to notice. But if you have any recommendations out there for cheap ND filters that won't break the bank, let us know, because we are always in the market. Next up is this. This is a very optional piece of equipment. I don't tend to carry this with me all the time, but it is a film camera. This is the Canon EOS Rebel G. And the reason I like this film camera is because it fits modern Canon lenses. So this is a modern 50 f1.8, and it just goes on here super quick, super simple. And I like to take kind of like candid moments of families and friends with this. And it's just a fun little thing to use. Next up are just kind of the miscellaneous accessories that we like to carry. So we've got ourselves an RGB light panel here. This is great if you want to add a bit of splash of color or a little bit of creativity to your shots. We also tend to carry a multi-tool with us. This is extremely handy for when you're out in the field and you got to do something that involves a tool, especially if you're trying to do the whole like quick release plate thing. It has those kind of things in there, so you can quickly do that rather than trying to find a coin or a key to do that. And also we've got ourselves an SD card case. It is extremely important because it keeps all your SD cards safe, nicely organized, so you don't lose anything. Our SD card of choice is the ProGrade Gold SD cards. We have used the SanDisk Extreme Pros before, and they're great, except we found that they physically break on us quite often, so we like to use the ProGrade ones because they tend to be a little bit more durable. We actually have a kind of a graveyard of broken SD cards, and they all tend to be the SanDisk Extreme Pros. This one's splitting. This one lost the little, like the little switch, overwrite switch, and this one's just broken as well. So we tend to kind of stick with the durable ones, the ProGrade, which have been great. That's pretty much everything that's in the core of this bag. In the top here, there's a little pocket that we like to keep our batteries in. So we've got ourselves some just extra Sony batteries there, as well as in the lid over here, this is where we keep our business cards. So got our classic TMS business card here with all of our contact information. Got lens cleaning cloths, as well as some of these guys, which are moist lens cleaning cloths. These are really handy if you kind of get like something that's really stuck onto your lens. These things will kind of get it off, and they're alcohol wipes, so it dissolves and doesn't leave any residue behind. Other than that, that's pretty much it. That's what we carry on a daily basis. I'm gonna be really intrigued to see what this camera looks like in a year from now, in 2022, when we do one of these videos, what the setup is going to be. If you are intrigued at all about anything that we talked about in this video, there's gonna be links down in the description below, so you can go and check that out. If you're new here, make sure you go and follow us on Instagram at TMSProductions_. Also go and comment, like, subscribe, it really helps us out, and we will see you guys next week. Probably a crime in the film world, but we tend to just go for the cheapest one you can possibly find on Amazon. So I think this thing costs us like 30 bucks,